Imagine yourself as a teenager, just 16 or 17 years old. Could you lead visitors to your own neighborhood, a place you had last seen as a child of 11 or 12? Could you also care for your spouse and newborn baby? Sacagawea, the only woman to travel with the Corps of Discovery, did this and more. First, let's talk about who was Sacagawea. She was born around the 1780s, either 1786 or 1787, as no one knows the exact year of her birthday. She was the daughter of the Shoshone leader, one of the Native American tribes. She grew up surrounded by the Rocky Mountains in the Salmon River region of what is now Idaho. Around the age of 12, she was captured by Hadassit Indians, an enemy of the Shoshones during a buffalo hunt near the Missouri River's headwaters. Actually, the name we know her by is Hadassit, from the Hadassit words for a bird, Sakha, and woman, Wea. According to Hadassit, the correct pronunciation of her name is Sacagawea. However, today, many Shoshone argue that, in their language, Sacagawea means boat butcher and is her true name. Her captors brought her to the Hadassit Menden settlement, near what is now North Dakota. The Menden is an affiliated tribe. At the beginning of the 19th century, she was sold to a French-Canadian trapper named Toussaint Charbonneau through a trade, gambling payoff, or purchase. He was older than her by about 2 decades. Charbonneau had lived among Native Americans for a long time, so he had adopted some of their traditions, including polygamy. Then he made her one of his wives about 1804, and she was soon pregnant. They resided in one of the Hadassit villages, Metahata. Then, in February 1805, she gave birth to a baby boy, her first child, named John Baptist Charbonneau.
Sacagawea and the Corps of Discovery. When a squall occurred, the boat she was traveling in nearly capsized and Charbonneau, the navigator, panicked. She has the foresight to gather vital papers, booked navigational equipment, medicine, and other goods that might otherwise have vanished, and several directors. Lewis and Clark named a branch of the Missouri River. Clark reformed a good relationship with her, and they looked for obstruction in the river that may harm the boats. She conveyed the commander wished to acquire horses to the Shoshone they encountered. Then, 5 days later, after the coup first met, crossed the continental divide at Lempi Pass, she was stunned and delighted to recognize Chief Kemawet, the Shoshone chief, as her brother, and the two enjoyed an emotional reunion. She also able to identify edible and medical roots, plants, and berries, and she also used her naturalist expertise in the corps. Her memories of Shoshone past prompt Clark to refer to her as his pilot. She assisted in guiding the corps through a mountain pass to the Yellowstone River, which is known as Bozeman Pass in Montana. And while it couldn't be qualified, the presence of a woman, a Native American to boot, her baby made the entire corps appear less intimidating and more friendly to the Native American the corps saw, some of whom had never seen white kids before. This reduces tension, which may have led to uncooperative behavior at base and violence at worst. She returned to the Hidatsa Mandan village on August 14, 1806, with the rest of the corps and her husband and son. They survived disease, flash floods, temperature extreme, food shortage, and mosquito swarm, and etc. Charbonneau was compensated at 320 acres of land and $500 for his labor, and Sacagawea received no remuneration.
So the next one that shapes American history is when Sacagawea meets Lewis and Clark, when President Thomas Jefferson had made the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. However, Jefferson wanted more from the explorer to search for the passage by charting them to survey the landscape and learn about the varied Native American tribes, along making map which transformed the continent of North America. He turned to his secretary, Meriwether Lewis, 29 years old, and chose his friend, a former military superior, 33 years old William Clark, as his co-captain, known as Lewis and Clark's Expedition, in November 1804. This considered the greatest explorative expedition the young United States of America have ever known. Therefore, when they arrived, they built Fort Mander near the Hidatsa village. Initially, Lewis and Clark met Charbonnel and quickly hired him to serve on their expedition, and also his wife, Sacagawea. Even though at times Sacagawea was about 6 months pregnant, she was chosen to accompany them on their mission. They both have the potential of combined language skills. Most of the course members spoke only English. Charbonnel spoke French and Hidatsa. Sacagawea spoke Hidatsa and Shoshone. Through this transition chain, Sacagawea's communications with the Shoshone tribe, the expedition was able to buy horse from them to cross the Rocky Mountain. Moreover, in February 1805, from what we have already mentioned, that she gave birth to a son. Despite traveling with a newborn child during the trek, Sacagawea proved to be helpful in many ways, such as being skilled at finding editable plants. Nonetheless, when the boat that Lewis, Clark, and Sacagawea were riding was on capsize, she was able to save some of its cargo, including important documents and supplies. She also served as a symbol of peace when a group traveling with a woman and child were treated with less suspicion than a group of men alone, and she remained the explorer for the trip west.
Before we continue to the next part, this is your first question. What do you suppose her life would have been like if she hadn't been captured and pregnant? Beside the history of their journey, let's see other interesting facts about this woman. Sacagawea belonged to the Lemhi Shoshone Indians, also known as Snake Indians. The name Snake Indian came from the distinctive thread and quickly hiding away when discovered. Some historians say that Jabonu warned Sacagawea while grumbling with the Hidatsa. Captain Craig nicknamed Sacagawea Johnny, and her son John Baptist Palm or Palmhead, as the tradition with the firstborn son of Shoshone mothers, which means leader. She was also referred to as a squaw, a term that was not derogatory at the time and that meant Native American woman. She gave up her bead belt so that Leavitt and Clark could trade for a fur coat for President Jefferson.
In 1805, in recognition of Sacagawea's action, a river was named after her. The Sacagawea River is a tributary of the Muscle River and is located in north-central Montana. It is 30 miles or 48 kilometers long. The river is also known as the Bird Women River. Then, in 1875, there was a woman living in the Wind River Reservation who claimed to be Sacagawea, and that woman died in 1884. It is believed that Sacagawea's second child, Lisette, died during childhood as there is no mention of her after her mother's death. Since 2009, the design of the reverse of the coins has been changed every year with a Native American cultural features. The face of the coins had remained unchanged, showing Sacagawea and John Baptist.
Next section that we are going to talk about is Sacagawea final year. After she giving birth to a daughter, she was extremely ill with putrid fever, the reference to childbed fever, a bacterial infection which originated within 10 days. After childbirth may be fatal. 8 months after Sacagawea died, Clegg regularly adopted her two children, Jean Baptiste and Lisette. Baptiste was educated by Clegg in St. Louis. At age 18, he traveled with Prince Paul Wilhelm of Württemberg to Germany, where he became fluent in 4 languages. Next, Sacagawea wanted to make her a compelling model of female bravery and intelligence. She protected the expedition from attack by indigenous people. Moreover, she knew many languages and interpreted at important Indian councils. Sacagawea is best known for her association with the Lewis and Clark. She accompanied the expedition as a translator and traveled with them 4,000 of miles from St. Louis to the Pacific Northwest. Sacagawea has been memorialized with statues, monuments, stamps, and place names. In 2000, she appeared on a gold $10 coin struck by the U.S. Mint. Next, this is the part called Q&A, as you guys might doubt about this woman. So, the first question is the most confusing thing for some people. The question is Pocahontas really Sacagawea? So, let's find out the answer together. Sacagawea of the Shoshone tribe and Pocahontas of the Powhatan tribe have helped explorers from Europe travel and journey through American land. Both of these princes helped them to contribute and shape the history of America. However, Sacagawea and Pocahontas were from completely different areas of the land and helped with 2 different explorations. Pocahontas is known for her association with the colonial settlement at the Jamestown, Virginia, and also for saving the life of Englishman John Smith. The second question is, where are the statues of Sacagawea? In fact, very little was known about Sacagawea well after the Lewis and Clark expedition had ended. Her image only started becoming popular after 1902, once the book The Conquest, The True Story of Lewis and Clark was published. Then, Sacagawea's image eventually became a symbol of fortitude and importance for women in American history, thanks to women's rights activists. This monument, which was placed in Washington Park, Portland, Oregon, was one of the first of Sacagawea's many monuments. It is made of bronze and designed by artist Alice Cooper. It was revealed at the Lewis and Clark exhibition in 1905 in Portland to memorialize the centennial anniversary of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The funds to build the statue were raised by the National Women's Suffrage Association. The next one was located in Case Park at Clark's Point and was created by Eugene Dope in 2000 as part of the urban renewal of downtown Kansas City. This sculpture is the largest of all of hers, 18 feet in height. The next place that her statue was located is at the Sacagawea Interpretive Educational and Event Center in Lamy River Valley. This is a center that is dedicated to providing education and information about the chosen heroine and her huge role in the Corps of Discovery. It was located where Sacagawea was born. This center provides an outdoor school of discovery, a visitor center, an amphitheater, a community garden, and a research library.
To wrap it all up, Sacagawea was a remarkable person during the historical period in which she lived. She was a powerful and knowledgeable woman who knew a great deal of her land and her tribe. Sacagawea served as an excellent guide and translator for the Lewis and Clark expedition. Here, your second and last question. What are some accomplishments of Sacagawea? Make sure you answer to those two questions. And thank you for watching!